Welcome back to BT. Thanks for joining us this morning. A few months ago, hundreds of residents in Vancouver's Strathcona neighborhood protested, calling for the government to do something about the tent city that has been growing rapidly in Strathcona Park since June. And joining us now is one of the residents who live in Vancouver's Strathcona neighborhood, Jamie McLaren. Jamie, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hi, Mary. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So it's been about 6 weeks since you and your neighbors protested. Can you give us an update? Has anything changed?
Not much has changed as far as we can tell. Certainly the people in Strathcona Park are still living there in very poor conditions and at risk every day to health and safety hazards. So from our perspective, nothing's changed since our protest, which was, a great day for community here, getting together, putting pressure on government, conveying a message. We were quite hopeful at that time that things would change, but we haven't seen any changes really on the ground.
And for people who are not familiar with what's been going on at Strathcona Park, can you just paint us a brief summary?
Sure. So in June of this year, folks were displaced from Oppenheimer Park, or I think it was actually before June. They were displaced from Oppenheimer Park and then went to Crab Park in the downtown east side to set up camp. They're displaced from there and then moved on to Strathcona Park here in our neighborhood. And at the time, I think there was 30, 40 tents, and it was concerning. Anytime you have people living in parks, it's obviously concerning. You worry about their health, you worry about the safety of the community around it, and certainly the community within. And it grew, predictably, it grew to a very large size, so that it's now about, I think, 400 tents or something like that. And winter's setting in, cold and wet conditions. It's really a real problem. There's been issues with safety issues. People have been assaulted. There's been weapons found, criminal activity, and so forth. So it's a situation that seems unsustainable, but yet no one's doing anything about it.
And in September, hundreds of residents in your neighborhood signed a petition with the intention of withholding property taxes until something is done. Now, Vancouver City Council, they have warned that property taxes could go up by as much as 5% next year. What do you think of that?
Yeah, our tax resistance campaign was meant to put pressure on municipal government, could put pressure on other senior levels of government. And we're hopeful about that. We had 2,000 people sign in support of the campaign in our neighborhood, and about 400 declare that they'll actually withhold taxes, and including my own household here. So that was done. We were hopeful about that. And yet we haven't seen much happen from that. So, in terms of the 5% increase or the prospective increase, my personal position is that we'd gladly pay more taxes if we receive the services that we deserve, right? It's not so much about being taxed, it's about the equitable and responsible uses of our taxes, and we're just not seeing it from this city government.
You want to make sure the money is being spent properly. So you did not pay your property taxes on the September 30th deadline, correct?
Yeah, we withheld a portion of our taxes, and we'll incur a fine for that, and we'll pay the fine and the taxes someday. And hopefully on that day, there'll be a government that's providing the housing supports needed to the people in Strathcona Park currently. So that's the idea, is what we see, the need to pay taxes, of course. In order to receive good services, you must pay taxes, but we're just not seeing the services that we deserve here.
Right. Okay, Jamie, it's been 6 weeks since the protests. The tent city has been growing steadily since June. What are your next steps? What are you planning to do right now?
Yeah, I'll continue to apply pressure on government however we can. So, we're looking at another protest, perhaps. We're looking at legal action, perhaps. Lobby the provincial government to eliminate the Parks Board. We need government bodies and officials to do their jobs and to address the situation in Strathcona Park. It's only a matter of time before someone dies, before there's a tragic outcome here. I mean, there's already been tragic outcomes, but it's just the chances are escalating every day.
All right, Jamie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Mary.
That is Jamie McLaren, one of the many Strathcona residents who says they will not stop until their neighborhood is safe. We're going to take a break now. We'll have more